Welcome to Lesson 9 of Week 9. Having developed your detailed budget and written your justification, you must now accurately transfer budget information to the forms required by your funder. This seemingly mechanical step is where many errors occur. Federal applications typically require standard budget forms that summarize your funding request. The SF-424A is the most common, but different programs may use variations or additional forms. Correctly completing these forms and ensuring they match your detailed budget is essential for successful submission. This lesson will help you understand common federal budget forms and their purposes, how to correctly categorize expenses on standard forms, ensuring consistency between forms and detailed budgets, and common form completion errors to avoid. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to complete required budget forms accurately and ensure they align with your detailed budget and justification. Form completion may seem like clerical work, but errors here can delay or derail your application. Several budget forms are commonly used in federal grant applications. Understanding which forms apply to your application ensures you complete the correct ones. The SF-424A is the budget information form for non-construction programs. This is the most widely used federal budget form required for many grant programs across agencies. It summarizes costs by category and budget period, providing the overview of your funding request. The SF-424C is the parallel form for construction programs. If your grant includes construction or major renovation, this form may apply instead of or in addition to the A form. Construction-related costs require different categorization than program costs. The R&R budget, research and related budget, is used for NIH and other research-focused programs. This form series includes detailed sections for personnel, equipment, travel, and other categories specific to research projects. Research proposals typically use R&R forms rather than the standard SF-424 series. Agency-specific forms exist for some programs. The Department of Education, Department of Labor, and other agencies may have their own budget forms or supplements. Always review your funding opportunity announcement to identify exactly which forms your application requires. Understanding the SF-424A structure helps you complete each section correctly. The form has several distinct sections with different purposes. Section A provides the budget summary across all budget periods. This section shows total federal request, total applicant matching funds, and total project costs across the entire project duration. Section A provides the high-level overview of your complete funding request. Section B details budget categories for the first budget period, typically year 1. Categories include personnel, fringe benefits, travel, equipment, supplies, contractual construction, other and indirect charges. Each category has a separate line, and Section B shows how first-year costs distribute across these categories. Section C captures non-federal resources, which is your cost sharing. If your project includes mandatory or voluntary committed match, Section C shows those contributions organized by source: applicant, state, local, and other. This section documents the non-federal funding supporting your project. Sections D and E address forecasted cash needs and other budget information. Section D projects when you will need federal funds across the budget period. Section E captures any additional budget information required by the program. Not all applications require completion of these sections. Correctly mapping your detailed budget to SF-424A categories requires understanding what each line includes. Careful categorization prevents errors. Personnel on line 6A includes salaries and wages for all project staff. This includes principal investigators, project directors, coordinators, research assistants, and all other paid personnel. The total should match the sum of all salary costs in your detailed budget before fringe benefits. Fringe benefits on line 6B captures benefits calculated on personnel costs. This includes your organization's contribution to retirement, health insurance, Social Security, and other employee benefits. The amount should equal personnel costs times your fringe rate or rates. Travel on line 6C includes all project-related travel costs. Domestic travel, international travel, local travel, all transportation, lodging, and per diem costs belong here. This single line captures all travel regardless of purpose or destination. Equipment on line 6D covers items meeting the equipment definition, generally tangible personal property with useful life over 1 year, and acquisition cost at or above a threshold, typically $5,000. Items below the equipment threshold are supplies, not equipment. Continuing with SF 424A category mapping, the remaining lines complete your budget summary. Supplies on line 6E includes consumables and tangible items below the equipment threshold. Office supplies, laboratory consumables, educational materials, participant incentives that are tangible goods, software under the equipment threshold, all belong here. The supplies category is often a catch-all for items not fitting elsewhere. Contractual online 6F captures all subawards and contracts. Both subrecipient relationships and contractor purchases appear on this single line. The total should equal the sum of all subaward and contract amounts in your detailed budget. Distinguishing subawards from contracts matters for compliance, but both go on line 6F. Other on line 6H is for costs not fitting other categories. Participant support costs, publication costs, consultant fees if not in contractual, and miscellaneous items may belong here. Review what other programs in your agency typically include on this line. Indirect charges on line 6J shows your facilities and administrative costs. This is your indirect rate applied to the modified total direct cost base. The calculation should match what you described in your budget justification. Consistency between budget forms and your detailed budget is essential. Discrepancies create confusion and suggest careless preparation. Totals must match between your form and detailed budget. If your detailed budget shows a total of $452,316, your form should show exactly that amount. Rounding or estimation that creates discrepancy indicates either the form or the detailed budget is wrong. Category alignment means each form category should match the corresponding section of your detailed budget. If your detailed budget shows $42,000 in supplies, line 6E should show $42,000. If categories do not match, you have either miscategorized items or made calculation errors. Year-to-year consistency requires that multi-year forms reflect how your budget evolves over time. If equipment is concentrated in year 1, that should be visible in year-by-year breakdowns. If staffing increases in year 2, personnel should reflect that. Year patterns on forms should match your detailed budget narrative. Cross-reference checking verifies forms against detailed budget before submission. After completing forms, systematically compare every number to your source budget. This verification catches transcription errors, formula mistakes, and categorization problems before submission. Multi-year projects require careful presentation of budget information across project years. Understanding how forms handle multi-year budgets prevents confusion. Budget periods on most forms show year-by-year breakdown. The SF 424A has columns for multiple budget periods, allowing you to show how costs distribute across project years. Each column represents 1 year's budget, typically aligned with your project's fiscal periods. Cumulative view in Section A shows totals across all years. This summary provides the complete picture of your funding request. Federal funds requested, matching funds committed, and total project costs all appear as cumulative amounts across the full project duration. Period detail in Section B typically shows first year in the most detail. Later budget periods may have less detailed breakdowns on the form itself. The form provides summary categorization, with detailed year-by-year budgets often provided as separate attachments. Attachment options mean some applications require detailed budgets for each year as separate documents. Your form provides summary categorization, while attachments provide complete detail. Ensure attachments and forms tell consistent stories about your budget across all project years. When your project includes cost sharing, Section C of the SF 424A documents non-federal contributions. Correctly completing this section ensures your match commitments are clear. Section C purpose is documenting non-federal contributions to your project. If you have mandatory cost sharing, voluntary committed match, or both, Section C shows these contributions organized by source. This section becomes a commitment document once your award is made. Source categories distinguish between applicant contributions, state government funds, local government funds, and other sources. Your organization's direct contributions appear as applicant funds. Government matching funds appear in appropriate columns. Partner and third-party contributions typically appear as other. Consistency requires that Section C match cost sharing described in your detailed budget and justification. If your detailed budget shows $50,000 in cost sharing, Section C should show $50,000. If you claim specific sources in your narrative, the same sources should appear on the form. Third-party match from partners may appear as other in Section C. Contributions from community partners, private donors, or collaborating organizations that are not government entities go in this column. Your justification should explain the sources behind this category. The research and related budget forms used for NIH and similar applications have distinct features. Understanding these specifics helps you complete research budgets correctly. Personnel detail on R&R budgets lists each person with name, role, effort level, and cost. Unlike the SF424A, which shows only personnel totals, R&R budgets require individual listing of key personnel. This detail allows reviewers to see exactly who will work on the project and at what level. Equipment detail requires each item to be listed separately with description and cost. Rather than a single equipment total, the R&R format itemizes equipment purchases. This detail supports reviewer evaluation of whether equipment is appropriate and necessary. Consortium and sub-award sections provide separate budget presentations for partner institutions. Each major subrecipient typically completes their own R&R budget pages that attach to your application. This approach provides detailed visibility into partner costs. Modular budgets are an NIH option for simpler presentation when requesting under a threshold amount per year. Instead of detailed categorization, modular budgets request funds in $25,000 modules. This simplified approach reduces burden for smaller or less complex research projects. Practical tips for form completion help you avoid common problems. Attention to mechanics prevents errors that can delay your application. Use systems by completing forms within Grants.gov or agency electronic systems rather than trying to recreate forms manually. Electronic systems include calculations, validation, and formatting that reduce errors. Paper forms submitted electronically often have formatting problems. Validate before submission by using built-in validation tools. Grants.gov and agency systems can check for missing required fields, calculation errors, and format problems. Running validation before final submission catches issues while you can still fix them. Save frequently because system timeouts can lose your work. Electronic forms may time out during completion, losing unsaved entries. Save your work often and download PDF copies as backups. Consider completing forms in shorter sessions to reduce timeout risk. Print and review because paper review catches errors that screens may hide. After completing forms electronically, print them and review on paper. Fresh perspective on a different medium often reveals problems you missed on screen. Compare printed forms to your source budget systematically. Common form errors create problems during review and may delay your application. Recognizing these mistakes helps you avoid them. Mismatched totals between form and detailed budget suggest errors somewhere. If your SF424A shows $400,000, but your detailed budget totals $412,000, something is wrong. Reviewers will not know which number is correct and may question your budget accuracy generally. Wrong categories place items in incorrect budget lines. Putting a consultant in personnel rather than contractual, treating software as equipment when it falls below threshold, miscategorizing participant support. These errors misrepresent your budget structure even if totals are correct. Missing sections leave required portions incomplete. Forms may have sections that seem optional but are actually required. Review all sections to confirm what must be completed. Empty sections may trigger validation errors or cause reviewers to question whether you understood requirements. Math errors in sums or percentages occur when calculations are wrong. Fringe should equal salary times rate. Indirect should equal MTDC times rate. Category subtotals should sum to total. Check every calculation. recognizing that even electronic systems can contain user entry errors. Reconciling all budget-related documents ensures your complete application is internally consistent. Systematic reconciliation catches inconsistencies before submission. Forms to detail means every number on your budget forms should trace to your detailed budget. Walking through the form line by line and verifying each amount comes from a specific section of your detailed budget confirms alignment. Discrepancies indicate either transcription errors or budget problems. Justification check confirms every item you justified appears in both your detailed budget and forms. If your justification discusses an evaluation consultant, that consultant should appear in your detailed budget and be included in the contractual line on your form. Orphan justification text suggests incomplete budgeting. Narrative alignment verifies activities described in your project narrative have corresponding resources in your budget. If your narrative describes site visits to 10 partner locations, travel costs should reflect those visits. Resources should enable the activities you proposed. Partner consistency ensures sub-award forms match partner detailed budgets. If your partner's detailed budget shows $100,000, the sub-award line on your form and the consortium section on R&R forms should both show $100,000. Partner budget amounts should be consistent across all documents. A pre-submission checklist ensures budget forms are complete and accurate before you submit. Running through this checklist systematically prevents avoidable errors. All forms complete confirms every required budget form is finished. Check your funding opportunity announcement for the complete list of required forms. Incomplete applications may be rejected without review. Do not assume optional sections can be skipped without consequence. Totals verified confirms all sums and calculations are correct. Check category subtotals, verify fringe calculations, confirm indirect cost amounts, ensure totals across years equal cumulative amounts. Every number should be verifiably accurate. Consistency confirmed ensures forms match detailed budget match justification. The story told in each document should be the same story. Personnel costs should be identical across all presentations. No document should contain information contradicted by another document. Validation passed confirms electronic validation shows no errors. Run validation tools provided by Grants.gov or agency systems. Address any warnings or errors before submission. Validation catches many common problems automatically, but you must actually run it and respond to results. Following best practices for form completion produces accurate, complete budget forms. These practices should guide your approach to all budget form preparation. Start from detail by building forms from your detailed budget rather than vice versa. Your detailed budget should be developed first, then summarized onto forms. Working backward from forms to detail often produces budgets that fit categories but lack coherent planning. Work systematically by completing sections in order and checking each before moving on. Do not jump around the form randomly. Complete section A, verify it, move to section B. Systematic completion with verification at each step reduces errors. Verify everything by checking all calculations and transfers even when systems should handle them correctly. Electronic forms can have errors. Manual data entry can have transcription mistakes. Verify that every number on your form matches your source and that every calculation is correct. Get fresh eyes by having someone else review your forms before submission. You have been looking at these numbers so long you may not see errors. A colleague who did not complete the forms can spot problems you missed. External review catches mistakes before they become problems. Let us summarize the key points from this lesson on completing budget forms. Budget forms must accurately summarize your detailed budget. The SF424A R&R budget and other required forms translate your detailed planning into standardized summaries. Accuracy in this translation is essential for successful submission and for proper management if funded. Correct categorization places each expense in its proper category. Personnel, fringe, travel, equipment, supplies, contractual, other, and indirect each have specific definitions. Miscategorized expenses misrepresent your budget structure even when totals are correct. Know what belongs in each category. Consistency across all budget documents is essential. Forms, detailed budget, justification, and narrative should all tell the same story about your resource needs. Inconsistencies between documents suggest careless preparation or budget problems. Systematic reconciliation catches discrepancies before submission. In our next lesson, we examine budget revisions and contingency planning. Once a grant is awarded, circumstances may require budget changes. Understanding how to request and document budget modifications and what contingency planning is appropriate helps you manage grant finances flexibly within compliance requirements. Practice exercise. Using a detailed budget you have developed, practice completing an SF 424A form. Verify that every line item can be traced to your detailed budget and that all calculations are correct.